That's right.
I did that just for you, Rachel. Good afternoon, Rachel.
Thank
How are you today?
I'm good, Mr. Miller. How are you?
I am amazing. We have our guest with us today, Jackie from 805 Escrow, who we just figured out has been with us 3 times.
This will be
Look
her
at it.
third visit. Yes,
Or thrice.
Yep,
Is thrice a
3
word?
times.
it
Is
is.
Yes,
thrice a word? It
It's
is?
a
Okay,
fancy
good.
thrice.
word.
So before we get very far into this, welcome to the Racer
That's
Drivers.
right. There you
Welcome to the Rachel and Mr. Miller podcast, where we discuss real estate, real life, and occasionally things we probably shouldn't. We are pros in the buying and selling of residential real estate, but nothing you hear is legal, financial, or professional advice outside of our licensed wheelhouses. It's just two humans talking, so proceed accordingly. So, again, good afternoon, good day, and hello, and welcome to the show. And I
three
would like
humans
that.
talk.
I'm gonna make this thing go away. That's on my screen. There, I can see it now. So Rachel and I were talking yesterday. I got a phone call with Jackie. I mentioned it to you. I alluded to this a few minutes ago. I had a phone call yesterday from a escrow company trying to earn my business, and they talked. I said, "Okay, cool." I said, "So, how are you guys set up for FinCEN?" And there was a pause, and the person said, "Is that an address?" Hmm.
Oh
No,
no.
no, it's not an
Oh
address. Well,
no! Oh no!
not an address. I
I
don't know how to answer that because it's definitely not. Well, it could be. Well, it could be fincen.com, I guess. So there's been a lot of talk, as when we had you on almost a year ago, we talked about Vincent because it was supposed to go live in December of
Yeah,
last year, right? And it got pushed back.
yeah, in December 1st.
Right? And it got pushed back.
Yeah. It was actually supposed to go live in August and then it went December and then now it's March 1st.
And there's been some pretty dramatic changes too, from what I've been able to tell. It's all cash transactions now. That's my understanding. Oh, you're
So they
smiling
just changed
again.
it. So it's all cash transactions that are going to be in an entity of some sort. So that means like an LLC, partnership, a trust. But it will not be as individuals. So they are not going to be doing individuals anymore. So it's just going to be not individual cash buyers, but anything that's going to be purchased in the trust, LLC, partnership, or some type of entity.
So it's diving more into what could possibly be investors, investments, and large investment companies.
Correct. Yes. I think what they're trying to target here is people hiding behind a corporation or an LLC or a trust or some type of entity to avoid the spotlight on them. So that's kind of what FinCEN is cracking down on. They kind of want to pull the mask from the LLC and really get to know, or trust, and really get to know the person that is behind that trust or LLC and the beneficiaries that might be a part of it or members that might be a part of that LLC.
So we kind of jumped ahead quite a bit. Let's
Sorry.
roll it back. Jackie
Yes.
with 805 Escrow. We're saying the word FinCEN. It's FIN and then capital CEN. Could we go back to, as if we have not spoken about this before, and talk about what this stands for and what role this plays in real estate today?
Of course. Yeah, so FinCEN has always been around, and I think that people kind of forget that, but they are cracking down a lot more. So FinCEN is the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. So that's kind of what those acronyms, the FinCEN stands for. And what they are doing in the real estate space is they are making sure that there is no funny business going on with cash purchases with these entities. So they want to make sure there's no money laundering, there's no cartel behind the scenes here that's, trying to use real estate as a blanket to wash money. And the reason why they would use real estate is because they get large sums of money at one time. So they're able to wash large sums of money at one time.
They
So
were able to.
that is the so that is kind of what FinCEN's role is. And I think they want to just kind of get more understanding and control of where this money is going, how it's being used. They've, put in a couple different roadblocks for Escrow to take care of in reporting that.
Jackie, and that falls squarely on the shoulders of an escrow company I'm going to use the word enforce for lack of a better term, but it falls squarely on the shoulders of escrow to ask was it 109 or 112 questions or something like that?
Yeah, so there's been some changes to even that. So a lot of the title underwriters have decided to partner up with a service. It's called FinCENreporting.com, I believe. I gotta look through my notes here, but basically it's a third-party service that reaches out to the buyer or whoever is going to need to be reporting, and they'll gather that information, and they'll report that information to FinCEN, and they'll handle all of that. So that's been a big relief. Yeah, it's been a big relief, and they're partnering up with the title companies. So basically, it's escrow's responsibility to make sure that this gets done some way or another. So when, let's say I'm the escrow company and I want title to take care of the FinCEN reporting, I will designate them. It's called like a designation form, to be the official reporter, because it does go first in line is escrow, and then it'll go with whoever drew up the deed, and then it'll go to title. So title is kind of like the third or fourth option to do the reporting. But since the title companies have these amazing underwriters that are willing to help with partnering up with this third-party service, then it just, you sign that designation letter over to title, and then title then takes it from there as far as making sure that everything gets reported through that third-party service. And then we get kind of like a congratulations, this has been done correctly type of letter, and then we can share that with escrow. But it really helps escrow companies, especially the small mom and pop shops, because one, we would have to get a lot more security systems in place, and we already pay so much money for our security systems that we have to store these 111 data points. So we don't really want that information anyways. We already ask enough of the buyers and the sellers, so we don't really want to have to store that information. So this third party has been like our saving grace.
So is the third parties, that's the first I'm hearing about the third party. Is that something new that's just recently showed up?
Yes. So we actually just got I guess you can say, our introduction to it yesterday. So yes, so it's been, it feels like it's the right thing to do though, right? Like it feels like this shouldn't be the responsibility of escrow or title necessarily. They're kind of FinCEN's kind of putting a lot of pressure on us, because if we don't report correctly or if we don't do it on time, there are penalties, including up to $250,000 fines. So,
Paid
yeah,
by?
Paid by the escrow company. So, or it could be on an individual case also, because you have to designate a reporter from your office. So a lot of people say, like, and joke around, like, oh, well, if you don't like somebody in your company, make them the reporter. Because you can also face jail time if you get caught that you are purposely not reporting transactions, and you are caught on multiple offenses of that, it is jail time. So you really want to, be careful.
You don't really want to dive into that pool. So, Jackie, at one point, I don't know if we talked about this on the air or we're talking off the air. at one point there was talk about it, the FinCEN really, the FinCEN, FinCEN really adding somewhere between $600 and $1,000 to escrow and title dollars. Do you think that dollar amount is still going to be in play, or is it going to be less than, more than? And I'm not going to pigeonhole you on that, but obviously the service is not going to be free.
So, yes, technically through this third party service, you can be charged per report or you could be charged on a monthly basis. And those fees differ. But basically, how you'll see it, if the title company is taking designation and working with the third party service to get the information, you'll see it as a line item, like how you would see like a wire fee or an overnight fee. You would see it as a line item fee as FinCEN reporting fee. And they can range anywhere from $120 to, I've seen some escrow companies deciding to do $450 if they're doing it themselves. I've seen some want to charge up to $800. So it just really depends on, if the escrow company is doing it themselves, you'll see it under their escrow fees and it'll say FinCEN reporting fee and they can charge whatever they like. If title is doing it, same thing, they'll have it as a line item. And most likely if title's doing it, most likely they're working with the third party service, which charges them, like I said, per file or on a monthly basis. And so we would just charge what that charge per file is. So I think the most recent that I've seen with this third party service is about $120 to $150 per report. So you would see that as a separate line item on your closing statement. And that's paid by the buyer.
These investigations are not being imposed or brought to just a regular personal buyer, though, as we explained in the beginning, this is more towards larger corporations or LLCs or investors. So
yes,
so I'm kind of like, that's a soft way of me saying maybe those fees aren't as big of a deal to them as maybe like a first-time buyer.
Yeah, correct. And a lot of times first-time buyers are not normally paying cash. A lot of the time a first-time buyer is usually getting some
just as an example, like somebody who maybe wouldn't have the pockets that could handle fees, this type of a fee.
Where I do see like where that can, where you can get into some trouble there is if a first-time home buyer or someone who's not used to paying like, ridiculous fees is going to be using a lender that is not covered under the AML Act, which is the Anti-Money Laundering Act, and then also the SAR, which is the Suspicious Activity Report. So those usually, if you're using a regular constitutional bank, like, Wells Fargo, or if you're using like some type of lending service that has an NMLS number or has, these types of securities and backings behind them, they are usually under the type of business that would have the AML in place and the SAR in place. But when you're using like kind of like a private beneficiary, or you're using a hard money lender that might not be covered under that, that's when it's going to trigger the reporting for this cash purchase. So I have seen a lot of HOA companies cause a lot of issues, especially for first-time home buyers who are buying condos. And so the buyer will go private money. So if they're going private money and saying that they're all cash when they go into escrow and it's not covered under this AML type of act, that will trigger the reporting. So just kind of gotta be careful, I guess, like if you are deciding to go with a private lender or a lending institution that's not traditional, I would just, make sure you let your clients know that, hey, this could trigger some type of reporting with FinCEN if you're planning to buy under an entity or an LLC or a trust.
Jackie, when it comes to agents, being that it's not going to fall on the agent's shoulders, would you recommend that agents, how do I word this? How would you recommend that an agent tell their buyer, hey, by the way, I know you're paying cash, and the feds are going to want to check you out. Other than saying it that way, uh,
Yeah.
how would you? And if they're using a third party, is a third party going to say, "Hi, this is Stevie from 805 Escrow or 805 Title or Joe's Title Company"? Are they just going to say, "Hi, this is FinCEN Security"? Or do we know how that's going to be titled or pinned or introduced?
Yeah. So basically I think the realtor's responsibility, or what the realtor should know, is that this reporting will be triggered only for residential purchases. So it's not going to be like for commercial. So if it's 1 to 4 units, it's still considered residential, then, and they're purchasing in an entity, all cash or LLC, expect reporting. If they are purchasing vacant land with the purpose or being zoned for residential building, then be prepared, and they're buying in the LLC or in a trust, be prepared to tell your client that this may trigger the FinCEN, or it will trigger the FinCEN reporting. Also, if they're buying any type of co-op, this will trigger the FinCEN reporting also. So just knowing the type of property types that FinCEN is looking for to get reports on, I think will help agents a lot. So again, that's going to be residential properties, so single family homes. It's going to be condos. It's going to be vacant land if it's zoned for residential, and it's going to be co-ops. So those 4, if your clients are planning to purchase all cash in an entity, just let them know that that's going to trigger the FinCEN reporting. So I think just kind of understanding at least those will help a lot of buyers and agents have that communication. And I think also just letting, as far as agents, being ahead of the game and telling us, a lot of times we'll see contracts come in and they say it's all cash, right? And we're like, oh, an all cash file, my favorite. Like, you know.
I'm so sorry. I was trying so hard to hold that in.
No
Sorry.
worries.
All cash. Go ahead. All cash.
So escrow loves all cash files, right? Because there's not too many moving parts. But now we probably won't see them the same if they're in an entity. But back in the day, the all cash file used to be great. But once we see all cash, we need to actually verify that it's actually going to be all cash and it's not going to be surprise financing in the middle of the deal, which we did see a lot during COVID, right? Like everyone wanted to get their offer accepted. So they were like, oh, I'm going to purchase all cash and the seller's going to accept my offer because it's all cash. And then right in the middle of the deal, you're getting financing. So avoid that. If you are a real estate agent, do not do that, because once we know there's an all cash deal, we have to start our FinCEN reporting early. The earlier, the better, because we're going to have the clients that are going to want to fight us. They're not going to want to give the information. They're going to, and they're still actually trying to figure out the whole blind trust situation on how that's going to work out, because they don't want to give their information anyways. It's part of being in a blind trust. So FinCEN's still working that one out. But,
I think that
but yeah,
I think
so
that's part of what that's where the agent's going to come into play, is setting that expectation early in the game. I almost want to say and prep everybody who says they're doing cash, just in the event that FinCEN decides to change it, and almost set the expectation ahead of time, saying you may get a phone call asking additional questions because it's an all cash transaction and the feds are doing what they can do to limit money laundering. So you may get a phone call and asking you additional questions, and just prepping them. I think we rephrase that. Prepping them, in my opinion, would A, give them information, but B, it should prep them. And I almost want to say we should almost create a document that says the agent has told me about FinCEN. And that way, when
Don't give another suggestion for one more document. Go ahead, Mr. Miller.
Another car form.
Oh God, it's probably coming. You're probably ahead of the
Yeah.
game.
Well,
Yeah,
you do have to let them know, or like they should anticipate the buyers. So the real estate agent should be prepping them that they're going to have to be giving information as far as citizenship full bank account numbers, trust and beneficiary full details and information, EIN numbers, full social security numbers. As far if anybody has a 25% or more interest in the trust as a beneficiary, they're going to have to report also. So they just need to know, like, especially if you have people who have 9 people on one trust,
Vey, vey.
it's
I'm
going to get a
curious
little.
about something, Jackie. How does this FinCEN reporting, will it, can it affect escrow timelines? What if we've got somebody putting in an offer and they want like super short escrow to make their offer strong?
So FinCEN has promised us that this reporting should not take more than 20 minutes.
Oh,
I thought you were going to say 20
all
days.
database entry stuff.
No,
What
it
did
should
you
not
say,
take more
Helen?
than, because
I thought you was
basically,
going to say
if you're
20
working with
days.
an escrow company, they're going to call you, and these data point questions are like, number one's first name, number one is middle name, number two is last name. So it's 111, but it's kind of like separated a little bit like that. So if your escrow company is deciding to report themselves directly into the portal, they're going to have to call you and get this information over the phone, or they might have some type of system to be able to get this information. I would say over the phone is going to be the most secure if you are doing everything yourself as an escrow company. But you never know. Some people might DocuSign. I don't know. For us, with the third party that we're using, they are going to do this directly with the buyers themselves. So they will most likely send them the secured link so these people can fill it out themselves. They'll review it. And then if there's anything missing, they'll go back and let them know that, hey, you missed this. This is not correct. This needs to be changed. So it should take 20 minutes. But again, if you have to go back and make changes, I know a lot of investors are really not excited about this. So they are probably going to give a hard time, give very vague answers, give very, skip some things and all that kind of stuff. But escrow will not close if you do not finish your FinCEN reporting. It just can't.
So full cooperation from
Yes.
the buyer will ensure the quickest completion of the FinCEN investigations.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think just agents letting their clients know they're going to need the full trust. They're going to need the full bank account information for, what they're using to purchase. They're going to need, so just letting them know like, hey, this is going to trigger FinCEN and this is what they're going to ask. It's kind of invasive questions, but we have to do it. And preparing them from even when they're putting in the offer, I think is best. But once they get into escrow, so that way, it doesn't make escrow or title look like the bad guy, like we're just kind of investigating them ourselves.
Jackie, did you say that the buyer will have access to a link that they're able to, let's say, self-report the information, or is it going to be?
So
Go ahead.
yes, so yes, there is like fincenreporting.com, and then that whatever is filled in will get reported directly to FinCEN. It's called a real estate report. So that will get directly, submitted into the FinCEN portal. So the third party service that we're going to be working with, let's say, they'll ask, like, do you want to do it over the phone, or would you like us to send it to you securely? And then they can type in the information, and then the third party will review it, make sure everything looks good, and then they would submit it into FinCEN through the portal themselves.
Can the buyer get this done ahead of time, or do they have to be? That was a funny smile.
You can review it. You can definitely review it before time, and that's one thing that So my question with yesterday was like, okay, I have an investor who buys in the same LLC over and over and over again, or the same trust. Can I just keep a hard copy of his report and just resubmit it? But it is transaction based, so you cannot do that. You have to have a new one filled out every single transaction. So that being said, a buyer, I believe, will be able to review the FinCEN report, but I think it has to be sent out securely from either the escrow team, the third-party vendors, or the title team.
So it will need to be done per transaction.
Yes. If let's say for whatever reason there is no, because this is a nationwide change. So let's say if there is no title or escrow company involved, maybe an attorney, or maybe it's just like, a handshake type of transaction. But they will need to report it. And so technically, whoever creates the deed will need to do the reporting. So that's the rule of thumb.
This reminds me of my old world of working in wireless when they'd roll out a new technology. Is on this day we're going to roll this out, and oh goody, here it goes, yay! Going,
Steamroll, you mean?
yeah,
I
and
know.
they set up
I,
like teams all over the country to handle the inbound calls, saying, okay, well this is happening. What do we do now? Oh, that it should be interesting, and like
Scott, in your area, do you have much transactions that are in trusts?
we have a lot of trusts. Uh, we have a lot of trust accounts. We have a lot of companies that buy land
Yeah.
uh, is for solar fields and things like that. I have one piece of land right now, and actually, yeah, I have a piece of land right now that the land, the commercial building, and the house are being bought by a LLC or I guess it's an LLC, and that won't happen for 3 months. So they will. It's a cash transaction, so
Yeah.
they will.
oh, well, commercial
Yeah,
you don't have to report, which is
it's all
there
three. It's
are
all
some
three together.
exemptions. Oh,
There's some
okay.
exemptions.
There are some exemptions on if an entity is going to be purchasing. And so those are going to be security reporting issuers. Sorry, I have to read this one because it's 16 of them. Governmental authority, a bank, a credit union, money service businesses, broker or dealer in securities, public utilities. So once, if let's say the escrow company is like, oh, DWP is purchasing this land cash, then DWP will not be triggered to report to FinCEN.
I
And once you
I
enter
just
I
in that,
see all sorts of things happening.
yeah,
yeah
and once
I
you start entering that information into the FinCEN portal, it'll recognize it and it'll say like no reporting is, needed.
I have the state of California buying 40 acres, and it's cash, so they
Yeah, then you'll
won't
be
get
good.
hit with
They
that.
will not need to report.
Yep, and they're
Yeah,
trying to get them to buy
yeah,
80 acres too. So
The
that'll be
state of
interesting.
California? That's fabulous.
yeah. Like, or a city, like I know right now the city of like Hawthorne and the city of Torrance, like they're purchasing a lot right now within those communities. So they will not have to report. They are a city entity and they will not have to report, which makes sense. They're already underneath that standard with the AML and with all of that stuff kind of already.
Sure.
That is, yeah. Yay. If you're our fan club,
We've got a minute and a half left.
that's exactly what that means.
That went by
Uh,
really fast.
That
Again, as
one, I
always.
know. It's a lot of information and
And
like,
you have been talking about it crazy in a crazy amount. I'm sure you're probably pretty tired.
yeah, I mean, I've been in the escrow industry for 14 years. So, I have friends and family and old coworkers and that are not working with a big escrow company, which are really terrified about this whole change. Or I have, now I'm with a title company and they're coming up with different ways to help escrow companies. And so I've just been like talking to everybody, title, escrow, realtors, even investors, friends, family about FinCEN, and everyone's probably tired of me, but
So you are definitely
Jackie,
a
what's
pro.
the best way for either an agent? Yes, and that is definitely your wheelhouse. Jackie, what's
thank
the best way for an agent or even a consumer to reach out to you and say, what is about FinCEN, or they want to do an escrow with you guys? What's the best way for that to happen?
yeah, you can call me. My number is here, 818-585-2957. You can also text me. I'm a huge texter. Or email me, Jackie at 805escrow.com.
Awesome. And Rachel, how do people reach you?
Yes, Mr. Miller. My email is rachel@gratishomes.com. My phone number is 805-813.
Rachel Motor and a one from Clay, Clay, Clay. Rachel Motor and a one from Clay, Clay, Clay. Rachel Motor and a one from Gratis Homes and Estates and Scott Miller from Epic Realty selling homes, talking to the movers and shakers in the real estate world and community leaders, just two friends talking shop. Sit back and enjoy and don't forget.
I can be reached at 760-264-3501, 760-264-3501. Epic, or Scott Miller at epic.me, Scott Miller at epic.me, or my website, homeswithscottkmiller.com.
Thank you so much, Jackie. We really appreciate you coming on for a third time. It was great to see you. I hope to see you around the neighborhood.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much, guys. And for having me.